Alright guys, so if you watch my vlog, today we're going to be putting, or showing you how to put rear suspension spacers in a Trailblazer. Really not hard at all, and you can actually even leave the tires on for this. Some people like to take them off because it'll be easier to get your impact gun on the, on the lower shock bolt here, but I just said forget it. I'm leaving the tires on and just gonna hand undo those bolts. No big deal because I've had them off before. And basically all you have to do is unbolt the shocks. Of course I'm gonna grab my jack here in a second, put the jack under the rear end to hold it up, unbolt the shocks, and then undo this bolt right here, which is for the panhard bar or the track bar, whatever you want to call it. So only 3 bolts, and you'll be able to use the jack and slowly lower the rear end down so that you can pop your springs out and then install these spacers. So we're going to see how these fit right here. So I'm going to go ahead and take those bolts off real quick. Alright guys, so now after you've taken out the lower shock bolts, the track bar and panhard bar, whatever you want to call it, bolt out. Also unclip your sensor wire here for your traction control on both sides, just to make sure there's no stress on that. So I went ahead and pulled out this spring right here, just to show you. So pulled out this spring, put the new spacer up in the top, popped it back in. This was the Rough Country spacer. So if we bring it over here and look, that's, mind you, the Rough Country spacer here is like a polyurethane bushing. This one's steel, so I don't know if that's gonna affect anything or not. But you can see, like, that one's that much and that one's that much, so it's just a little bit more lift, as you can see here. So I don't know if this, how much of a ride this is gonna affect. I don't think it should affect it that much, but like this one, over the years will bevel in, unlike this one. So this one, once the suspension settles, maybe less of a 3, not exactly what the spacer is. So I pulled this spring out just a second ago. It's kind of hard to video that with 2 hands, but as you can see how that sits. So now all I've got to do, take this, oopsie, got to take the rubber bushing out of here. This is your factory rubber part, and what I ended up doing is taking that, because that's kind of the mount, sticking it, this one like that, lift this spring back up, and this guy is going to sit right there like that, and boom. So now I've got to put the spring back up in there, and then you got to kind of look at it, and there should be like a little bit of a bend in the spring from how it's been sitting under the vehicle for the years. So kind of match it to how it came out. I usually use these stickers, or the part number stickers, to match it to where it went back in the vehicle, because I know which orientation it went. Just got to make sure you get it back on the proper seating on both sides. And then what I do is I bring my jack back over here, I jack the rear end back up, I put the bolts in the shocks, the bottom shock bolts, then I lower the vehicle down, and then that's when you're able to put the bolt back in the track bar. It is a little bit of a pain to get that bolt back in, but it's not that big of a deal. What I've done since I'm by myself, I've actually put my foot on the chassis of the vehicle like this, and moved the bar into the spot and held it there and pushed the bolt through. And yeah, so let me go ahead and get this spring back in, and I'll come back to you. So I went ahead, I jacked the rear end up, I put the bolts, sorry for my shaky hands, I put the bolts back in the shocks, and then I lowered the truck down a little bit, not to where it was touching the ground, but I lowered it down till it was close to the ground but even, then removed the jack stands and slowly let it sit down on its self-weighting itself. And then I put, when I set it down, then I pushed and put the bolt back in for the track bar, or the panhard bar, And now you got to go and tighten those 3 bolts back to factory torque specifications, and then don't forget to attach your sensor wire back into the cable. But real quick, and then what I did is and it's not necessary, but I gave the suspension a couple little hits to try to settle it a little bit. It's going to settle a little bit more, but since I totally decompressed it, but I think that's exactly where I wanted it to sit. So I'm really excited to get it, torque the rear bolts down, take it for a drive a couple miles, so hopefully settle the suspension a little bit more, and then get it out in the daylight so I can see how it sits. So I will come back with some pictures for the end, and let me know if you want to know anything else. Thank you.